Welcome to the Bonus XP podcast all about video games, where every fortnight, three friends gather around the internet campfire and each bring a story to tell one another. This story can be a news item or just a random topic from the gaming world this past fortnight. Joining, my name's Luke Morgan. I'm the host of the podcast. Joining me as always are my bearded boys, Conan.
What up?
And Greiner.
Evening.
Almost got through that intro without messing up.
You just wanted to do the podcast on your own. Didn't want to introduce us.
Before we get into it, we'll get into the most important question you can ask a gamer. Greiner, is there anything you're playing at the moment?
Oh boy, I've played a lot of games in the last 2 weeks, like a surprising amount for a man of my age and marital status.
Yep.
Deathloop, I've been talking about it for weeks. Finally finished it. It's a good game. I like it a lot. Don't expect the story to answer all the questions. This is what I'll say.
So, you seem subdued compared to your excitement over the game recently.
I really enjoyed playing it. I kind of wanted to play a bit more, but I looked up to see how many more unique weapons are there, because that's the kind of thing I was looking for. And I'd already found them all. And I'm like, well, what's the point in unlocking any more of these weird doors? Like, it's only going to be stuff that's not that useful to me.
Yeah.
So that was a bit of a downer. Maybe I shouldn't have looked it up. But then again, if I'd gone through all the trouble to open every single secret, I would have been disappointed by just getting a random trinket. So anyway.
Yeah.
And then the final loop was really good. There's some fun twists there, but I don't think the story just doesn't answer everything you want it to, I guess.
Yeah.
There's a lot of unanswered questions. But the final loop is fun. Like, knocking over those 8 dudes in one day is a good feeling.
So, does it without spoiling it or anything, does it tease a sequel?
I think it does. They
Which
definitely don't close it off to a sequel. I'll say that much.
Yeah. Which will be interesting given like its status as a PlayStation exclusive made by an Xbox developer.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's interesting.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, seeing as it is coming to Xbox eventually. It'll be interesting to see if the sequel is just an Xbox exclusive, or if they'll do anything with that. But yeah,
I was also a bit disappointed. There's only one true way to win that game. I was hoping there'd be multiple paths. You could take multiple orders. You could kill the visionaries in, but there's only one path that actually wins you the game. Which I wished it was a little bit more open than that. Would have been fun.
I've heard that as like a criticism that does lead down this linear thing of, well, this is the correct way to do it. Yeah. So people couldn't create their own way of knocking all eight out.
Yeah, I'd love to see someone take this concept and really run with it and just open it up, make it more free form. I think there's something really fun there, and like I really enjoyed playing it. It was just, I don't know, didn't end as solidly as I'd like. I also finished Breath of the Wild this week. So I got to about 100.
What's your responsibilities?
Dude, what's happened?
I mean, I have a daughter that sleeps most of the day still, so I'm pretty good there, I think. No, I don't know. I had a bit of time on the weekends. It was a long weekend. We weren't going anywhere. So yeah, finished Breath of the Wild. I got to about 110 shrines and then just looked up the last few and finished them all off, and then went and kicked Ganon's ass. It was way harder than I remembered, but maybe it's because I'm playing it on master mode. I'm kind of glad I did towards the end there, because it did up the difficulty enough to make it really fun.
Yeah.
So,
Breath of the Wild, though. So obviously, you restarted it again and played it through again, and so you did all the shrines again and everything.
Yes. I got to 110, I think, organically without looking any of them up, and then I just looked up the last 20 or so just to. Most of them were in spots I thought they were going to be in. Like, there's spots on the map where there's nothing I found there. But
does it track your time, like how long this playthrough took?
It probably does. I didn't look.
Okay, yeah.
I could find out.
True.
Ballpark estimate, how long?
I wouldn't be surprised if it was 30 hours.
Oh, I thought it was way more.
Yeah, that's not much.
30 or 40. No, it's
to do all the shrines and everything.
I mean, I have played this game before.
Yeah, but still.
I will look it up and I'll message you boys, and I bet you it's not more than 40 hours.
200 hours.
I'll just put an edit in at the end of the podcast. I'll be like, it was 226 hours.
I mean, time just flies by with that game. Have you guys heard of Scarlet Nexus?
I have heard of it. I have not.
Yeah, it's a game that came out, I think, in end of July, and it just went on to Xbox Game Pass this week. So I dabbled in that for a few hours.
Yeah.
It's very Japanese action RPG, straight up. But I don't know. The story sounds kind of interesting. Teenagers with brain links fighting mutants.
It's like a very anime style, art style.
It's just an anime game, basically.
Yep.
Like straight up anime. Like you're a teenager who's in a training camp.
Yeah.
Could not be any more anime.
True.
So I don't know if I'll keep going with that. It seems very standard anime action RPG.
Yep.
But yeah, I don't know. It was fun. What I played of it, I've started replaying Mario Odyssey.
Oh man.
I don't know. I'm just playing that when I've got nothing else to do.
Yeah.
But it's just the Switch is there. I can just turn it on and play it. I've only played about a few hours of it, but that game's great. The movement in that game is so much fun. Finding those moons.
I want to jump in here for a second in regards to Mario Odyssey, and just ask, Breath of the Wild or Mario Odyssey, which is the better game?
Breath of the Wild.
True. I thought you were going to go the other way.
I love Mario Odyssey, but Breath of the Wild is one of those once in a generation games. I feel like absolutely breathtaking. Plays so well. I'm keen to hear where Conan's gotten up to in it. And then the final little thing I played this afternoon, because it just came out, was Back for Blood. So, it was fun. It feels very much like Left 4 Dead, which I don't think anybody is surprised by at all.
Yeah.
But there's a few little bits and pieces they've added to it. So there's a lot more to pick up around the map. There's a lot more weapon variety. There's attachments for your guns. There's currency you can pick up on the map and spend at safe houses. So there's a bit more to do there on the map than what there was in Left 4 Dead. And they definitely opened it up for like skins and stuff like that, I guess.
So they're going to do like a battle pass.
I suspect so. I'm literally 2 maps in, only playing offline so far. But I'm keen to dabble a bit more in that and get online and play with some friends if I can find some.
So you've been playing solo so far?
Solo so far. Like the tutorial just launches you into a solo campaign.
True.
And I had about half an hour, so I thought I'll just run through and kill some zombies.
I read an article earlier that was saying that there's a lot of fans that are quite annoyed that they've locked a lot of stuff out if you play solo. Like, as in, I don't think you can earn achievements or trophies if you decide to play the game solo. Obviously, the game's designed for multiplayer, but a lot of people are annoyed. Like me personally, I'm like a guy who put 30 hours into the Division, never played online with anybody. Like, it's just
right.
I'm a single player guy, but I don't know. With Back for Blood, it's like something we touched on ages ago when it was first revealed at E3. I never played Left 4 Dead because it never came to PlayStation or anything like that. And this game, like, I'm keen to play because it will scratch that itch that I never got scratched for the last 10 years.
Itch you never knew you had.
Exactly. So but I always wanted to play Left 4 Dead. So I'm keen to jump in and play with you. I'll be your friend.
Cool. It really is half a game offline, really. Like, there's just so much more to it when you're playing with people. So I'm keen to dabble in that. Have a look at the versus multiplayer as well. I think that'll be fun.
And you sort of alluded to earlier that there was some performance issues on PC, or
only because I haven't gotten into the settings and set my setup right. I guess
okay.
my computer's getting old. Poor thing. I need to update some stuff on it. So. I'm hoping I can find some solutions there. It seems to run fine. It just has some screen tearing and stuff that's a bit annoying.
True. Conan, what have you been playing?
I've been playing less Breath of the Wild than Greiner, apparently. Wow. I've been playing one game and one game only, and like nowhere near 110 shrines.
Greiner's put me to shame, man, with his list of games this fortnight.
Been speed running,
showing everyone how it's done. Full-time job and can still
gamer.
Play the games. Yeah,
just neglected family. It's the way to go.
Don't see your child because you got Zelda to play. So I'm still running through that. Feel like I barely made a dent. I don't know, like you said earlier, Greiner, it's a game you can't just waste time in. Like I put it on and then I'll just run around for a while and keep doing the most, I don't know, almost pointless sort of things. I just go, it's just fun to explore. It's a game that really does, the more and more I play, it makes exploration such a fun thing. It's not sort of there on the side. It's not just a part of the game. It is the game. And I was talking with a guy at work about it. Like some games, they'll add things in like this because they work, or they'll just have extra features, or they'll be an RPG with cool combat and cool exploration, blah, 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 blah. Whereas this is a game that actually takes a mechanic of the fundamental building block and says, exploration is a thing we want to do in an RPG. How can you make that interesting rather than just have exploration as an element? And it's really cool to see it fulfilled in this way, where exploration is, because in a way the game's so empty, but there's actually
it is. There's just wide open spaces in a lot of it.
Yeah, and it's strange where you'll soar around. And it's kind of like, I can see everything there is to see, but I still just, something about it is compelling me to keep just running around and see what's here and climb up this rock face to see if I can. And then, oh, cool, there's just enough here to keep me engaged and keep going. So I'm still really enjoying that. It hasn't lost any of its shine yet, I don't think. I don't know how long until eventually I'll get a bit over it, and I'll get over just shrine, run across a big expanse shrine. But
I
mean, if you like Greiner, then not ever.
You'll do it twice. Think about doing it again.
That's right.
Have you defeated any of the divine beasts yet?
Yes, I have. So I've defeated the giant mechanical elephant.
Nice. Everybody does that one first. It's good.
Which makes sense.
They definitely push you. It's Zora's domain.
Yeah.
They definitely push you that way. Like you find those dudes in the river, and they're always like, "You should go see Zora's domain."
Yeah, they're doing that. I mean, it is the closest to it, and so it kind of feels natural. You go to Kakariko and then Hatana, and then it's kind of near there. It's like I could go across the other side of the map, as with anything, you're like, it puts stronger enemies in your way, so it's kind of easier to go this way and just naturally evolve.
Yep.
And I'm like, I could fight it like I do in so many other games, like in New Vegas. I would always just go and try to fight the giant wasps that kill you instead of just doing what the game wanted me to do, where I'm like, no, you know what? I'm going to trust Nintendo. I think they know what they're doing. So if they want me to do Zora's Domain first, I'll do Zora's Domain first.
Yeah. I did Zora's Domain first too.
Yeah.
I think it was personally the strongest one as well, but from memory. But
I really enjoyed all the divine beasts. Like I think the rewards from one of them, there's definitely an order you should do it in terms of most useful rewards, but I think in terms of doing them, I think they have some of the most compelling puzzles in the game, and I wish there was a bit more long form dungeon like stuff in the game.
Yeah, that's the only thing I had coming out of this, that it's obviously this is the temple, and it's kind of like it's just 2 levels of the thing, and you can it feels very limited. There's no in-depth sort of exploration of a dungeon. So I'm a bit bummed out about that, but at the same time, I think it's complemented enough by the shrines to never feel...
Yeah, and you get that exploration in the open world.
Yeah,
exactly.
You don't want to get bogged down just sort of spending a few hours in there, and then as soon as you come out, go and have to do another little shrine. So I think it's a good balance, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it goes after I do the others.
Yeah.
Oh, and I killed an ice dragon. That was sick.
Yeah, how fun is that quest?
It's climbing a mountain. There's this thing. I'm like, you're flying through, shooting arrows, slow mo. It was very cool.
The dragons. The first time I encountered one of them was just like, what the hell is that? Like,
100%. I was climbing up a mountain, and then I was like, what's that doing there? That can't be there. You can't do that, Zelda. And sure enough, it did it though, and I was, loved it.
And that's what you've been playing at the moment? Pretty
much, yeah. I've been playing chess on my phone. That's doesn't really count, but I play a lot of that.
How does that hold up over the years?
Timeless.
They need to nerf rooks. They are way too strong. Can't believe it's been this long.
Look, the meta is dominated by rook heavy play. You're right, and we'll see. Chess.org might fix it soon.
I don't know. It died when as soon as they introduced the battle pass system. I was out.
Well, when they started bringing in microtransactions where you could just pay to upgrade, your bishops to queens, I was like, I don't know if I'm a fan.
The John Wick skin was cool, but then I was like, I'm out.
That's me.
I haven't been playing much. So again, I'm in a similar thing as Greiner, where I'm going to talk about quickly the same game I've talked about the last 3 podcasts, where Life is Strange 2. I finished watching my wife play it. It was fascinating how she's not really like a gamer. She doesn't play many games. She plays these story-driven Telltale games and stuff like that, or Quantic Dream and all that. And she got such a better ending than I did. I think she's just a more logical person, so she made a lot better decisions when it came to people's emotions and empathy and stuff like that. And me thinking I was doing the right thing.
Wait, she was logical about emotions? That sounds like some
no, but like
some sociopathic behaviors right there.
I think she knew like, oh well, this is the right thing to do for that person. While I was like, no, this is the right thing, and it completely ruined that person's life. So when it came down to like the final chapter, she had a lot better experience than what my character did. So yeah, so it was interesting to see that, and she really enjoyed the game as well, in the story. Other than that, I've been playing a bit of Sackboy on PS5.
All the new games.
All the new games on here, hot and current. But no, it's like one of my son's favorite games is playing that, and got into a thing on the weekend where my young daughter, who's like 4 years old, was playing it as well. And so I joined in as like a third player. So we all three of us were playing these maps, which was,
and you crushed them, right? You crushed them.
Well, like, because we're teammates, so we're working together. But like, yeah, if one of them's giving me this, I like pick up their Sackboy and I'll throw them off a cliff. And then my daughter's like, why? And I'm like, yeah, it's fine. You'll respawn at the next checkpoint. I'm like, all right, let's go, Noel. Like, let's get to the next part. But yeah, it's a great game. It's a really, really good platforming game, and it's fun for the whole family. So
I can't believe you convinced your son not to play Spider-Man.
I know. I told him there was a Spider-Man skin in Sackboy.
I was just about to say that.
Actually, I'll just go in. It was very cute. He wanted my wife to play as well. I only have 3 PS5 controllers, and he was like, well, where's the 4th one? And then the next day came and showed me this drawing he had done that had our 3 Sackboy characters in all the costumes that me, him, and my daughter were wearing the day before. And in the middle of it was a big PS5 controller drawn with all question marks around it. And then another Sackboy one that's a plain Sackboy outfit with question marks around it. Like, what will the 4th Sackboy look like? And where's the 4th controller? So he basically guilt tripped me into buying another controller because I was like, it's going to arrive. Yeah.
I was going to say, did you immediately go and buy another controller?
I did. I literally, I was like, oh, I got to go buy one now. He drew a white controller though, and I was like, no, I want the matte black one. So I bought that one. But yeah, so that's what I've been playing recently. I'm in the middle of moving house. So for our 6 podcast fans that watch us on YouTube, this famous setup will be disappearing. This is the last episode recorded from here. I'm going to take down this PC as soon as we finish recording today. So it's been a bit of a stressful time. I haven't really had a chance to play many games recently, but yeah, Sackboy's always good. We'll get into the topics for the week. We'll start with you, Greiner, because you're our favorite.
You can see his anger. Look at him.
We had an argument that I always have to go first and never get to go last because he doesn't think my news stories are interesting enough because they're all PC centric. Anyway, let's move on.
What news have you brought us?
Oh boy. Boys, there is a tournament going on right now where you could win a share of $40 million.
No, I've seen this show.
If you and your team win, you share 18 million amongst yourselves,
it's
5 people.
Squid Game, right?
No. Squid Game, although it's nearly as dire. No, it's TI10, the International 10, the Dota 2 tournament that Valve puts on every year, although they didn't do it last year due to COVID. It starts tonight, boys. How can you not be excited?
So, is it Dota competition still?
Yeah, hell yeah, there is. It's the highest. It's the esport with the biggest prize pool in the world. Again,
is it really
for the 10th year running, nearly?
So it's bigger than League. It's bigger than
for an individual tournament. It is bigger than League. Yes.
Right. Okay. Oh.
So, do you mean that we can earn some money?
Well, I mean, if you were great at Dota like me, you could. But
it's not that hard of a game to get into, is it?
No, not at all. Not at all. There's no huge skill ceiling that would take years and years to master. No.
That's what I thought.
It seems like sarcasm. It's over my head because I've never played. I'm just like, I'm going to get into it.
Dota 2 is easily one of my favorite games of all time. I've played 3,000 hours in it. I'm still in the scrub tier. I'm terrible at that game, but I haven't played it for 12 months at least. But I still love that game. I still enjoy watching it. I think the pro scenes, I think the games are really exciting to watch when you have a little bit of knowledge about what's going on. And 16 teams in the main stage event now, fighting it out starting tonight. And the team that comes first here, I think it's a bit over $18 million they'll win.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
It is. The prize pool is all crowdfunded, so they sell items in game called the Compend. It's like a battle pass. It was one of the first battle passes, and so we've got them to blame probably.
Yeah.
Anyway, the proceeds from that go into the prize pool, and we end up with this massive cash prize for the winners.
That's a really good idea. The money for it actually goes back into the scene that keeps the game relevant and alive.
That's right.
Instead of just paying CEOs their 15th yacht. Wow.
Yeah, I think Valve is good at. I don't know. I think Valve did a really great job with because TI has been spotted, has been run this way since I think TI 3, so since the third one, something like that. And I don't know. I think they failed to market it as much as they could, because if you go have a look at the highest esports earners, competition earners, they're all Dota players. The top 100, almost all of them are Dota players, because every year the team that wins, everyone takes home $2 million, $3 million. Nearly $4 million this year. It's just ridiculous the amount of money these guys win. And I don't know, it's fun to see the production value they put into this thing. It's a video game tournament, but they have presenters and hosts, and they have this newscaster from a TV station in Seattle, and she goes out and flies to it. And she knows nothing about Dota, but she's lots of fun because she asks the fun questions that. She's not socially awkward, whereas everyone else there is a nerd and really struggles to talk in front of camera. So it's a lot of fun to see her try and interact with all these introverted, essentially teenagers,
that's great.
Playing the most stressful game of their lives. It's a lot of fun.
This can be fun to watch.
Yeah.
So do you watch this normal people, quote unquote, would watch the soccer World Cup and stuff?
Yeah, this is my state of origin. I know I give crap about.
I was about to say, I had my grand final last year of rugby league. Is this your grand final? Is this something you that excited about?
Yeah, I tend to watch the tournaments throughout the year, but the TI is the one where I put it up on the TV and I settle in, and it's usually in the middle of the night Australian time, which is not a heap of fun at the moment, but. My daughter's been waking up early for a feed, and I've been getting up with her and watching it. So that's been kind of fun.
You guys watch Dota together.
Yeah. I just got to start training her so she can start winning me some of that moolah.
So that's sweet cash.
See, this is what I was going to say, and I'm just going to come out and say it. All of our mums were wrong, this and the Twitch leak recently show that playing video games is actually probably the best way to make money in the world, because some of these people make more money than professional athletes do, and definitely a lot more than professional jobs, normal jobs in our town do.
Very, very small percent of people do, but let's not say that part.
No,
millions of dollars, people, millions of dollars.
Go for your dreams.
Compare it to any celebrity or athletes, right? There's a very small slither of those people who make good money as well.
Yep.
Yeah,
it's kind of for the work and the stuff they put into it versus the risk and reward. It's there's probably less people in the gaming industry who make money, but there's also less risk on your body. There's less chance of injury that just ruins you from ever doing anything again. I'm it's a pretty good, safe path to lead to.
It's hard to suggest kids put all their eggs in one basket, but you should start training to be a Dota pro.
But that's what we do already with sport, right?
Because I'm telling you, all these people that are making millions right now are the only ones out there whose parents were play them video games. You'll make a lot of money playing video games one day.
I don't think they
small
were.
Fraction.
It's fun seeing because they this is the big Dota tournament. They actually go they fly out and interview families and stuff like that. And half the parents are yeah, we've always supported him, and then the other half are I always scolded him for playing video games. He would sneak out to internet cafes and play, but now I have to accept it because he's coming home with millions of dollars.
Yeah,
it's a fun.
They're not going to hold on to that anymore. They're going to be yes, son, please, Dota the hell out of them.
You keep Dota-ing.
Dota good.
So I don't know if you can understand what's going on in those games. They're a lot of fun. Even just go check out the production value. I don't know. I love it. So
me not knowing anything about Dota, would I find it entertaining to watch them? Because I'll just say I hate every time I see a clip or anything of these shoutcasters like the commentators that are just shouting and
They
like
haven't been called shoutcasters in years.
I don't know. That's how out of it I am out of this scene. But some of them just like irritate me. Like they're just
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of yelling sometimes, but I don't know. I'm getting up in my chair and cheering, so I feel dumb too.
It's that kind of thing. Like I went to a few bar crafts back when StarCraft 2 was still somewhat relevant. And I've watched one or two of the big league tournaments, and it is because I've never been a sports person. Like I hate all sports. I've never enjoyed participating in that sort of social realm, and I've always felt really left out of it. And so it is the kind of thing where when you get into these esports, and I'm the same, like you get really into it, you see them going for like a triple kill or something, and it's like holy crap, and you get really into it, and you get on the edge of your seat. That's really exciting. It's really cool to sort of have that same feeling that normal people have with sport, I guess. Like, cool, I can relate to that somewhat. It's something that I really enjoy with League and StarCraft.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm a normal person.
Unfortunately.
Last thing, I just love that every year there seems to be like the big play that wins the whole tournament, all right? Like it's the it's the big thing that swings a game into someone's favor. And every year Valve will then animate that as like a short animation of what was going on. So it's not just the top-down view, like they're showing all the units running in it. It's so cool. I don't know. There seems to be a lot of love at Valve for Dota, even if it's only a small part of Valve. And I appreciate the work that they're doing, even though, I don't know, they did get a lot of criticism for not holding TI last year because of COVID, because it's a video game, you can play it online. But bit disappointing that way. But I hope that, I don't know, they're making up for it this year. I'm really enjoying it.
Last thing I'll ask. Where is Dota 3?
It's a good question.
Don't ask silly questions.
We're never getting a Dota 3, I don't think.
Is it like Half-Life? Does Valve just stop at 2?
No, it's a game as a service. They don't need a sequel. They just continually update forever.
Where's Portal 3? It's another one. Like
there's a lot of where's Left 4 Dead 3? There's lots of 3 games.
Holy crap, it's true.
Yeah. Have you guys not heard this before?
No.
No, but there's a theory now.
Yeah. It's more than a theory.
Team Fortress 3?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
What's happening?
I'm sure this is a thing, but I can't
believe this is not a thing you guys have heard of.
I've never sat down and thought about it or read it.
We've just figured out this conspiracy here on this podcast.
Is Gabe Newell like, does he have a fear of threes?
Maybe. He always does a little presentation at the start of the international, just like a welcome to the international. He's looking strange these days, old Gaben. No, just like he's is it Harold Hughes, the guy who had the airplane who Howard Hughes, and he would like it's Howard Hughes, and he would like store his urine in bottles and stuff.
Grow his nails out.
He's looking like that guy. I don't know. I feel like anyway. I love Gaben, but I'm not sure what's going on there.
He's going mad.
Anytime he goes outside, he's just paranoid he's going to see threes everywhere.
Yeah.
Freak him out.
Probably. The other little thing I just wanted to quickly talk about is the Valve Steam Deck, because I'm just a big Valve fanboy this week. Right to repair. How do you guys feel about that? You have opinions on it?
I was reading about Microsoft talking about this as well. Just today.
Fill me in.
So right to repair is just your right to repair your gear. So your phone, if you open it up and get your battery replaced, you're no longer under the warranty from Apple. So you have no and the problem with not having any right to repair your own equipment is a lot of it just ends up being replaced, goes in a landfill. There's a lot of waste, and it's kind of anti-consumer. So this carries over into consoles. The Switch is often criticized for like the Joy-Con drift. The only way to get that fixed is to send it to Nintendo, and then they basically replace the whole thing. There's not easily replaceable parts. Valve did a teardown of their Steam Deck this week, and to everybody's kind of surprise, they have replaceable boards that the joysticks sit on. So if your joystick fails, you just take that board out and put a new one in. They're even going to sell these replacement parts, so you don't have to like try and find some manufacturer in China that's going to sneak them off the shop floor or something like that. Like you can buy replacement parts for your Steam Deck, and they showed you how to put them into the Steam Deck.
I mean, that's great. It kind of like falls in line with like the Steam Deck being this portable PC, doesn't it? Like, because obviously that's what you do with a PC.
Totally. Yeah. I guess with it, I mean, it's it's not as, you can't change out a lot of the components. So they did show inside there, like it's a jam-packed little unit. You don't really want to be messing around in there, but it's nice that these components that often wear out really quick look like they'll be fairly replaceable. And I really hope that we get to see this I hope this pushes like the other console manufacturers in the same direction, because, you know, trying to get a PlayStation repaired, how do you do that, Luke? You can't do that yourself. You have to.
I take it in DB games.
And they replace it. And it probably ends up in landfill. Like it's
Yeah. So I guess like obviously it all depends on the success of the Steam Deck. And Steam Deck is something I keep forgetting is a thing. It's out this year, is it? Or
it's out soon.
Yeah,
Pretty sure it's not far away.
I thought
it's out for this Christmas, I believe. Yeah.
So obviously it'd be a bit more complicated, and I don't know this technical biggie stuff, but would you be able to like upgrade it? Does this mean, or is it just like someone couldn't change it for a different analog sticks or different?
Oh, very, very possibly, yes.
Yeah.
Like it's not an open source thing, so nobody knows how it works yet, but people are really good at modifying those things. Like people figure that stuff out in no time. There's already like people 3D printing slots for USB cards so that you can have a larger storage. There's already people looking at how they could possibly change out the SSD that's on board. And they did show how to do that in that video. So it's definitely possible. There's just there's a few limitations there, but people will figure that stuff out in no time, as they always do with any hardware, and especially hardware like this that's kind of designed to be opened a little bit. Like they don't. The video goes to lengths to say we don't recommend you do this, but
the options there.
Here's replacement parts you can buy, and here's how to do it. So I don't know.
Yeah, no, consumer friendly. That was good.
Yeah, we need more of that in gaming and in our hardware. Like phones are the worst for it. Like how many phones just end up broken and in the dump? Like you can't get things replaced. If you want to fix things on them, they're really hard to do. Like you need specialized equipment, or you've got to unseal some glue that'll never seal the same way again. It's terrible.
I think it's part of like I feel like it's part of a broader cultural sentiment where everyone's sort of starting to realize, hey, wait, you know, global warming's a thing. The environment's not going to be here forever. We can't just keep crapping in the ocean and hoping it all remains fine. And you know, like we had up after, I don't know what, the 70s or something, everything just became disposable. And you know, it's like we always rip on our parents' generations who are like, I'll replace this. But to their credit, back in the day, you bought a fridge and it lasted your whole life, whereas now they last 10 years and they're designed to fail. And so I think there is a shifting sentiment that like, well, actually that was dumb. We shouldn't have done that. We do actually need to be a bit more cautious. And this is hopefully the first sort of step towards that, where you don't have to buy, you buy a console, if it breaks in 10 years, you don't have to just buy a new one. Maybe you can just replace that part.
Yeah.
It's like, it's a really good incentive. It's a really good step forward for everybody. Like, consumers benefit. Obviously they don't benefit as much, but they've had 40 years of raining on this crap. So
I think the thing, it doesn't benefit the corporations too much.
But it's such a, like the social element, as in people are just more and more getting really against this. And so I was saying before, Xbox is considering the same thing. So just really recently, so Microsoft reached an agreement with a company called As You Sow, which is a non-profit investor group. And they were pretty much trying to get Microsoft to change it as well, saying the environmental and social benefits of repairing devices is so significant that it has to be a priority, right?
Yeah.
And so I think it's telling that these two different groups are both sort of looking into this. Like I think it'll become something that it has to happen eventually. And
it's becoming a really big movement, which I'm really happy about. Like I think, as you say, it's a really good thing, especially in a world where we have consumer 3D printers and stuff. Like people can print replacement parts at home to an extent. Like just make it a little bit easier, so we don't have to unseal glue. We don't have to have special gear to open things up.
Yep.
I mean, look, like I'll be the first to criticize Apple, but like they have this whole thing.
He says with his AirPods and iPhone and Apple Watch,
and frame portrait of Steve Jobs.
Yes, new iPhone every single year, no matter what.
Gross.
I forgot that I got a new one. I don't even know what the difference is between the old one. But like they go over this whole environmentally friendly approach every conference. They're like, this is what we're doing this year to make things more environmentally friendly. This year you have no charger in the box. The box is half the size because now you just have the phone. and earphones, and that's it. Like no more charger. And the whole reason is that, and yeah, they put up the statistics and it sounds really good. And it's like, okay, well, that's a good point of view. But then all this other stuff about like what, Greiner's just saying about it going into a landfill and the way they do their repairs and not letting people fix it themselves completely goes against that. And they could fix that issue in a lot of other ways instead of just making like well, then buy the charger in its own charger box.
Yeah, exactly.
$50.
Yeah.
I mean, we charge you more to buy that separately, right?
Remember that thing? It used to come. Now it doesn't come in that box, but you can buy it separately.
It's so fickle. That's it. They do that. Like, hey, we're actually doing this for you guys. Like, no, like we can see through your bull crap. You're clearly
I have to manage phones at our business, and like the number of iPhone chargers I have bought on their own this year is just through the roof. It's so
really?
stupid.
Yeah.
It's so frustrating because like phone chargers don't last forever either. Like they're not.
No, they're not.
I don't know.
Durable.
They're not making them well enough for that cord to last for 2 years.
No, exactly. Touching on the Steam Deck a little bit, yeah, I did. I couldn't help myself. I did buy the Switch OLED this week.
Have you played it at all? Because you sent me a message. I thought that might be the case.
Like I hadn't played the Switch in ages. I did it like because it seemed like I watched a lot of comparisons online, and man, it does look a lot impressive. I like went into a few things just to see the screen size. Obviously, the size of the Switch is the same, but the screen is like edge to edge now instead of the bezel. It is a lot like more visually impressive. Like it does look like much more of an upgrade than what you would think.
Only if you're playing in handheld mode, though.
If you're playing in hand, if it's plugged into the dock, then it doesn't matter what TV. Like it's the same thing. But as a handheld, sitting it next to the old Switch really does make the old Switch look like a 4 or 5 year old piece of hardware. And the new OLED screen is really nice. And seeing a few game comparisons like Hades, and seeing Hades on the normal screen and on the OLED screen, it's quite night and day comparison. So yeah, have not played it. It's in its box, sitting over there. Well, because I didn't want to. I've unplugged my whole setup here, so I didn't want to plug in the dock and all this. But I did transfer.
It'd be really good there, like a portable console that you could take with you. And you didn't have to have in a dock.
That's a good point.
It would be really handy.
I need to look into that. Get one of them things. I never play the Switch handheld. My main concern now is I felt comfortable just passing my Switch to my kids before and be like, yeah, here, play Mario Kart on and they'd be there with their little cheesel fingers on my Switch. And I didn't care that anymore. With this new OLED and white Joy-Cons, I'm like, don't touch it.
Don't you dare.
Put it back in. No, you can't play it. Hand in the dock only, but don't you put it in the dock. I'll put it in the dock. I don't want you to damage the screen. But yeah, so I'll have more feedback on that next podcast. So my topic for the week, I just want to get your guys' opinion. Remakes, remasters, all this sort of stuff. It's obviously always been a thing. Recent generations, it's become more popular. And I feel like recently it's gotten a bit out of hand, maybe. Like, we had The Last of Us remastered a year after The Last of Us came out. And that was like, it was a fine upgrade. It went from PS3 to PS4. So 30 frames to 60 frames a second, better resolution, everything like that. But still, it's not like, what you used to before, like, oh yes, play that classic game again, and now it's available on modern hardware. Obviously, recent examples of this, like Demon Souls, which was basically like a full remake. It looks completely different from what the PS3 one did, and that's, I think, where like the high end of what a remake is. And then you have Nintendo with like their just releasing Mario looking the exact same for $70.
Bargain.
Exactly. So the thing I'm interested in getting your opinions, though, is there's rumors recently. So 3 remakes in general that I want to talk about. Surprise, surprise, they're PlayStation series. Number one, there's a rumor that there will be a full remake of Metal Gear Solid 3. from a team called Virtuous. I don't know too much about them, haven't heard of them before, but it's someone that Konami is partnering with, and job listings and everything like that seem to point at they're going to be remaking Metal Gear Solid 3. Now, obviously,
the job listings say, "Is your name Hideo Kojima?
please
Come join us. Please,
please
come help us."
Or we'll take Hassan Karaman, one of them.
The other one.
One of them. Any of them, please. So obviously Metal Gear Solid 3 came out in 2005. It's stuck on PS2. You know, you can't play that on PS3 or PS4. You can play it on Games Pass through the HD collection that Bluepoint did. Metal Gear Solid 3 is my favorite of the Metal Gear Solid series, and I've been dying for a remake for years. I was wanting Bluepoint to do a full-on, like a Demon Souls remake of that. But this new team, Virtuous, seem to be doing that. So that's all right with me, I think. The other one I want to get into, and more what I want your opinion on, The Last of Us remake.
Why?
Such a silly thing.
You guys are aware of this rumor, or
No?
Yeah, I've heard this.
So it was a story that broke a few months ago. So Jason Schreier reported basically that PlayStation had this extra, like this, one of their studios working on, not Naughty Dog, but one of their other PlayStation studios working on a full-fledged remake of The Last of Us. So not a remaster, a remake. Maybe with extra content, maybe with different voice actors. Maybe
Nolan North as Joel.
Maybe Nolan North as Joel. And what's her name? Laura Bailey as Ellie.
Yeah.
There we go.
Revolutionary.
Yep. And then have Ashley Johnson come in as Abby in Last of Us Part 2 remake.
What a twist.
But this time Joel wins. This is their solution to the outrage.
Oh.
So what is your opinion on The Last of Us being fully remade? Greiner.
I don't know. Like, it's just something I care less about personally. But I am in favor of remakes that seriously remake the game. Like, they rebuild everything. It looks better. I'm happy if they update gameplay where it needs to be updated, because as much as I love some older games, they don't play as well as more modern games.
No,
but
KOTOR, I'm really hoping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As much as I love that game, as much as I loved playing that game when I was younger, I'm totally keen for that to be remade and have different combat.
Yep.
I'll be there day one for it. But I don't know. Is The Last of Us playable on the PlayStation 5 in any form at the moment?
Yes. Yeah, because you can play Last of Us Remastered. Like any PS4 game works on PS5. So you can play that in 60 frames a second and 4K resolution. And
unnecessary.
Yeah.
It's too modern. Like, there's so many older games that are so beloved that they could be giving this treatment to, and they choose something that's, I don't know.
Yeah.
That sucks to me.
See, it's weird to me. Like, Last of Us obviously is my favorite series. It is 8 years old now, which does seem a while, like it does, but it's not really though. It's not really low.
No.
Honestly, there are PS3 series, there are PS3 PlayStation exclusive games I would be down for a remake, which is weird because it's within a year, like an Infamous remake. You know, we haven't had Infamous since PS3. So, no, we had Second Son on PS4, sorry. But like an Infamous remake, I think would make sense and wouldn't seem like it's been that. Last of Us still feels recent, especially since they remastered it for PS4. We've had Part 2, which is very similar gameplay and everything like that. That was only last year that came out. And I think Last of Us is such, like, obviously it's always in the talks for like greatest game of all time, greatest game of the generation. Rightfully, I think it is the best game, at least of the decade. More than
you're wrong. Just move on. You're wrong.
Dark Souls is better.
But it feels wrong. It feels wrong to remake this game, and especially if it's recast and it's like this whole different thing. Conan.
That makes no sense. There's just no way they recast those voice actors. I'm sorry.
But that makes even less sense then, right? To remake the game with the same people.
You update the gameplay and the graphics, but the whole thing is unnecessary.
But isn't that just a remaster? Like, I feel like.
But what does changing the voice actors add?
So okay,
No,
so
I agree, but I feel like if you're going to remake it, you would do it with a different group, right? Because it's like a different take on it.
but so okay, because obviously it's not Naughty Dog making this. So Conan, I want to get your opinion on it being remade in general, but I'll throw in if they do recast it, would it not make sense that it's Pedro Pascal?
Yes. Yeah, that would be the more logical
And that
choice as a
it
tie.
seems to be this rumors pointing to that it's coinciding with the TV series. Obviously, HBO they're thinking that it being a HBO show, it's going to have a lot more new eyes on this product that people that weren't playing video games 10 years ago, who might be like, oh, there's a game of this out too, and it's Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey and all this sort of stuff. That I could see it making more sense if it's an adaptation of that, because obviously in the show they're going to have more things that were in the game. Like they've confirmed that they're going to be exploring stuff that wasn't in the first game, stuff that we didn't see like between seasons or whatever. So seeing basically a game version of the HBO TV series, I can believe that, and I can see that being a thing. Still feels a little weird, but that's the only way I could see that being a reasonable thing. But what's your opinion on it in general, Conan?
I don't know, where do I start? I think you're right. That seems more logical that it's a tie in that way. I think in that sense, HBO is overstating how many people don't play video games. Like I think most people who are interested in The Last of Us show have probably already played the game, but that's on them. I think you're right. Like something feels off about this. Like it feels taboo. It's like this game shouldn't be remade. Like you see it in movies all the time, right? There's like Hollywood's really bad for remaking stuff. But there's a handful of landmark films that they haven't touched. Like Citizen Kane's never been remade, The Godfather's never been remade, Back to the Future's never been remade, Fight Club's never been remade. There's all these films that are super important. Spider-Man, just one and done.
Tobey Maguire.
He's the only Spider-Man we know.
Yep.
Like there's these things that they got it so right, so there's no need to sort of touch that. And eventually they probably will. But then you get other films that are remade every 15 years almost. And it's this weird sense of, look, when you get it right, there's no need to remake it because you can't actually add anything to that. And that's the only reason you remake something, right? Is because this is lacking or there's something that's not there. It's not relevant today. And so we're going to change that. And like so
something that we were held back by technology at the time, and now we're not held back by it anymore.
Exactly. Either we couldn't fully fulfill our vision, or this is not the same as it once was. So to your point, Greiner, where gameplay ages badly, and something's about the original version goes, this is actually really holding it back from what it should be, because at the time it was all we had, or at the time it made sense, but now it's different. Like thinking of the Dead Space remake, I'm both excited and reluctant because that game hasn't aged badly. The gameplay's still really fun. There's nothing about it that says, this is really clunky. But at the same time, it is old enough that it could have a really nice, new, streamlined take on it. And there is stuff they could have added. But The Last of Us is really a thing where, again, most people, like everyone who's played it, considers it a fantastic game. It's considered one of the most important games of the century of all time.
Yeah.
The things people have to say that are bad about it is just that it's too cinematic, which I guess you could try to change in a remake. But there's nothing to say. There's nothing you could really change in a remake that says, this is what they missed. This is what they didn't get it right. Here's what they never added in that should have been in there. So it really does feel in this case like complete redundancy. There's not anything that they can add to the general theme or the general ethos of the game, right? Like there's nothing that says, hey, we can actually tell that story, that theme, that concept better. Because I think they hit it out of the park. There's nothing lacking in that game that really says, I wish I knew more about Ellie and Joel's relationship. It's like, no, we have that perfectly. So remaking it just seems so bizarre. It seems so pointless.
It feels like you sort of said earlier, taboo. It feels strange. And I don't think it's been done before that you would have two games that playable on the same console, both playable on PS5, that are called The Last of Us. That is the same story with the same characters, but casted as different people. it's like it's a movie thing. It is a movie thing. It's like having two Spider-Man movies. It's like having these reboots where it's the same story being told in a way. But instead, like obviously Spider-Man reboots and it's a different villain and a different type of Peter Parker.
Yeah.
This would still be the Last of Us story.
Yeah, you don't even get it in movies because the only other thing you have is a foreign film comes out and then a year later the American remake comes out.
Yeah.
But there's still a language difference. If they're both American movies getting remade by the same group, it's so strange.
Yeah.
Are they just doing it so they can make the Doctor at the end look like Abby's dad?
Possibly. And if that's the case and it's still Troy Baker and all that, then I'm down for it because that's a plot hole right there.
Yeah, really gets to me.
Yeah. Every time I replay the first one, I'm like, wait a minute. Where is he? Where's Jerry? So okay, let's talk about Last of Us, a 2013 game. This last remake I want to touch on is a 2015 game. So there's rumors going around recently, and now these are strong rumors that either Bloodborne is being remade, being given the Demon Souls remake from Bluepoint. So it is Bluepoint, the people that made Demon Souls, remaking Bloodborne. Obviously, Bloodborne has this thing where it seems to be one of the only games that hasn't received any sort of upgrade for the new consoles. It's still 30 frames a second. And yeah, you can't, like, it doesn't have a boost by playing on PS5 like other games did. Obviously, PlayStation own that IP of Bloodborne, not From Software. It doesn't seem like From Software are interested in jumping back in to make another exclusive at the moment. So it seems like what PlayStation are wanting to do, especially now with the working relationship of Bluepoint and FromSoft with the Demon Souls remake, which people praise and was fantastic. They're like, well, then we'll get them to do Bloodborne. But the thing I want to touch on more with that, not that I think that Bloodborne needs a remake or anything, but there's rumors also suggesting that they're actually working on Bloodborne 2 and continuing the series. Now, this is interesting because obviously PlayStation last week announced like that they have acquired Bluepoint. So they are now a PlayStation studio making PlayStation exclusives. And in their statement, like Bluepoint's known as the remake studio, you know, they're the experts, like they're the top of the game. And in their statement about this acquisition, they talked about making original content, which when I first read it, I was like, ugh, it's not what I want. I want Bluepoint to be basically the PlayStation remake studio to just like you know, like that's what they've always done.
Yeah, they just keep
have them
hits.
remake PlayStation classics that aren't on current platforms.
How long before they remake a remake that they made?
Yeah, exactly. Well,
about 7 years.
At this rate, 7 years, PS6. You know, like Resistance. Like there's a lot of series that they could remake, but how do you guys feel about them taking over the creative likeness and the side of creating a sequel to Bloodborne that's not made by From Software, and as their first thing? Because that makes sense. They didn't say working on original IP or a new IP. They said creating original content, which seems, and with other job listings and other rumors, seems to go along with creating Bloodborne 2.
Is there a job listing for a hunter?
Yes. They basically said, we want someone, you know, to enter the dream, and
someone who eats blood. And Bloodborne is sacred ground, all right? Bloodborne is it's important, all right? I can't overstate how wonderful and phenomenal Bloodborne is.
Yeah.
Now, did you guys play Dark Souls 2?
Yep.
No.
Greiner, what did you think of Dark Souls 2? I
remember liking it at the time, but no longer have strong feelings for it.
It's the weakest of the series, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is. Yeah. And it's the reason for that is that it's not directed by Hideo. What's his name? Hideo
Miyazaki.
Yep. So it's not directed by him. I don't think it was made by the same team. So it was a different group within the broader company.
Yep.
And that's why all the criticism comes from that. It's that classic thing of a group of people playing at something they don't fully understand. Miyazaki's got Bloodborne in his DNA.
Yeah,
so the Dark Souls thing, because the whole universe, all of the Dark Souls games, the Soulsborne games are his children.
Yep.
And when you get someone else to try to make those children, they're going to look like weird clone children, and no one likes that. And that's what Dark Souls 2 was. It was still a good game, but you could tell it wasn't. It was like
it's people being fans of that and trying to recreate
Yeah.
what his vision is, and
That's it.
being like, yeah,
there's like an uncanny valley to it. It's like I know I'm playing Dark Souls, but something's off about this.
yeah.
Is it worse to never get another Bloodborne again then, or to
No.
get an invitation?
I mean,
Correct.
if this is it, then okay. What if Miyazaki is like overseeing this?
Doesn't make any sense. That's not going to happen.
No. I mean, with the case of Dark Souls, we had him come back for Dark Souls 3, and we got a fantastic game again.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it could just be that same thing that Bloodborne 2 comes out, and he sees that, and I imagine he has a single tear, and he's like, "Don't you ever touch that again? I will do this." But I'm still gonna.
Hey, man, do it, please.
I'll still play Bloodborne 2 day one. Like I will. Nothing will stop me from touching that because strap me in and lube me up. But I don't know if it's going to be as good because you can't. Yeah.
Yeah. Greiner, what are your thoughts?
Like Bloodborne does seem like a game that deserves a remake to some extent, right? Like,
Which is
Explain
weird.
how.
Though
Going back to
I get what he's
because
saying.
it doesn't have anything that makes it better on PS5. Like all the Souls games on PC where they run at 60 frames per second run way better than what they do on console.
So, do you mean a remake or a remaster?
I'll remaster. Like
Okay.
up-res it, give it 60 frames
Yeah,
per second. They don't have to do too much more than that though. Like, and maybe don't charge full price for it, right? Like make
And
it
that's what people want. People want Bloodborne at 60 frames a second. That's
Yeah.
all. Yeah.
And that's a
Don't know
game
why.
like with parries and stuff, the gameplay in that game deserves to be 60 frames per second. I'm sorry.
Nah, doesn't, but that's fine.
You just don't understand what 60 frames per second does for us.
You're
actually-
ignorant to it.
I can only see 24 frames per second.
Actually,
yeah,
this,
Zim and I can. But
I was
that's
going to
fine.
bring up this whole conversation that existed years ago, before bonus XP was even a thing, about me and Conan being like, Last of Us Remastered.
Yeah, look,
is
you
better
turned.
in 30
You
frames a
turned, you
second.
dirty
It's
traitor.
better in 30 frames a second because it's more cinematic.
And me saying nothing is better in 30 frames per second.
I've
And I stand by that. But I'm interested to see what another, like if it's the only way you get another Bloodborne, I'm totally fine with it. I don't mind another, like I don't have a
played
strong
Bloodborne?
attachment to Bloodborne because I haven't actually ever played
Okay.
it. I've played all the other From Software games, but to me, like I'm sure I would really love that game, but even I would be like, remaster it, let someone else make a sequel if it's the only way we're going to get one. I think Bluepoint seem to know what they're doing in terms of Demon Souls. Like by all accounts, by all the most diehard of fans, that remake is perfect.
Yeah. And so that's another thing. Obviously, I was going to offer to like lend you a PS4 to play Bloodborne, but it would be hard to play a 30 frames a second FromSoft game, wouldn't it? Or
I would cope. I'm not
Yeah,
the biggest.
sure.
I'm not the biggest. I'm not the biggest snob in the world
You
about
act
it.
like
But
it's freaking like, oh.
I don't
like
act
a
like
PS1
anything. I prefer
polygon.
it.
Exactly.
How about that?
They move like robots. Oh my god, it's not that bad. Whew.
but which I'll just quickly touch on like that fact that Demon Souls is amazing. Like they did that great. They are remaking that. Like it was remaking that game and making it look better. This is basically creating a whole new thing to follow that, like creating their own enemy designs, creating their own world, and creating their own story and weird characters that just say random stuff that's very important to the plot and like figuring out what's going on. It'll be interesting to see because they're not known for creating original content. So who knows? They could be really bad. Like the creative side of
like,
things.
Isn't there nothing to lose here? Like best case scenario, you get a really, really good Bloodborne, right? Like as good as what you'd expect from Software. Worst case scenario is you get to see that, well, no one can actually imitate From Software. We still have Bloodborne 1.
Yep.
Like you don't lose anything by them making a bad sequel, except for maybe saying, well, they could have put that time into a remake.
Yeah. The only issue is if it's that places it over the original team creating a Bloodborne sequel. And I mean, I don't think it seems like they're doing it. It seems like they don't want to. So it's like, it's fine. It's just, it'd be horrible if they wanted to, but they're like, we need a bigger time frame and more money. Like, no, we'll just get Bluepoint to do it. That would be an egregious sin. But yeah, I think bring more Bloodborne. Like we need it.
I mean, that's where I fall on it. Like Bloodborne's my favorite from soft game, and I love Blue Point. I think they're incredible at what they do. Shadow of the Colossus remake was amazing. Like they're the masters of their craft, and I'd even like honestly, I'd be kind of more keen for a Bloodborne that looks like Demon Souls, like in 60 frames. If I want them to remake that first, and if they nail that, then move into a Bloodborne 2. But yeah, Bloodborne's a little different than Demon Souls. Bones are the same, but
Well, like this thing, Bloodborne doesn't need a remake though. Like it just needs like a remaster. It needs some slight improvements. It doesn't need to be from the ground up remade or anything.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like up-res it, increase the frame rate.
Yeah,
Pretty
I
much
feel
done.
like that is a different job to remaking a game, right? Like
It
and
is.
again, and I haven't played either of the Demon Souls, so I can't say this. I can't compare it, but I feel like remaking a game probably takes a lot more work. But if it's kind of like you come at it with that philosophy of we're going to remake Bloodborne for the PS5, that just seems so redundant. It's like no, remaster it for sure, but don't touch anything else. Don't tamper with the DNA.
It seems to be a thing that PlayStation is doing recently. They acquired another studio about a month or two ago called Nixus, who their whole thing is about like porting games to PC is what they're known for. Obviously, PlayStation studio games are slowly being like coming to PC. It seems like what PlayStation's thing is, we release PlayStation exclusives, and 2 or 3 years later they will come to PC. You know, usually when there's a sequel coming out, that seems to be what the formula is. Horizon Forbidden West coming out, we'll release Horizon Zero Dawn on PC now. God of War Ragnarok announced, we'll release God of War on PC. I don't know if that's happened yet, but it's rumored that that's going to happen. And I mean, they could be the ones that could easily do a Bloodborne PC port, and with that, you'd get a 60 frames a second mode of it, and then surely they can release that on PS5 as well. But yeah, I want Bloodborne in 60 frames a second. 60 frames is good, Conan, especially for that sort of game.
I can't believe you've gone to the other side of this, Luke.
Because I've seen the truth.
Because it's
my
the better
third
side.
eye is opened.
I feel so.
PS5.
You've taken
You feel so dated.
the trick blade from Bloodborne, and you've put it in my back. Man.
Look, the thing is, when I got the PS5, I was 100% like, man, I'm going to play in fidelity mode, which is like the 4K like mode, you know, instead of 60 frames of mode. And Assassin's Creed Valhalla, I put that in. I was playing 4K. I was like, yeah, this is cool. And I was like, I'll see what it's like in 60 frames. Started playing that. It was running around. I was like, oh, it's all weird and fast, and it was a bit like it didn't look as crisp. And I was like, okay, I'll go back. As soon as I jumped back to that 31, it was like unplayable to me. I was like, it's so slow. It feels so weird. And since that, I've 60 frames all day, baby. But once you get over 60, it's a bit wanky.
Nah.
You say that
once you get all 120 frames a second.
In 5 years, you'll be like, 120 is the only way to play, man. 60 frames is so bad.
And Conan will just be there, and old man will be like, cinema is dead.
How much? It will be. I'm going to make my own podcast with people who respect the arts instead of just jerking off to tech.
Anyway.
Release it on record.
Vinyl only, baby, on FM and AM radio.
Conan, what have you brought us this week?
Me, physical
Close
media
out the
is
show.
dead.
Conan, physical media is dead. Yep.
That's it. It's just a painful cry. All right. My story for the sorry, my Zoom's gone weird. There it is. All right. So as I'm sure everybody knows, we have a Mario movie coming out.
Yes.
Now, how excited are we? Speaking of remakes and all this stuff, how excited are we for the Mario movie, guys?
Greiner, you go first.
I'm more excited for it because of the weird casting choices.
Yeah. This casting choice has sold me on the movie. I now want a Super Mario 64 remake with this cast. I do wish, and I keep having like moments of disappointment when I realize it's not a live action Mario movie with this cast, because that would have been amazing. But still, it's a very unique cast, and it seems very people have opinions on this cast. But
it's strange. So just for anyone listening who doesn't know this, obviously you're Chris Pratt as Mario, Charlie Day as Luigi, Anya Taylor-Joy, hot off the Queen's Gambit fame, to play Princess Peach. Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong. Keegan-Michael Key as Toad. And Jack Black as the giant turtle himself, Bowser. Now, some of those work really well, I think. Charlie Day as Luigi's 11 out of 10.
Universally, he seems to be the one that no one has a problem with. Like Charlie Day's Luigi.
He can do no wrong.
Michael Key as Toad. Like, I hope there's lots of Toads and they all have his voice and he's arguing with himself a lot. Just throw a Peel in there as one of them.
Yeah.
And
just one random of them. I'm keen for that too.
So they're all good. And even like Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong, I'm kind of coming around as.
So, man, this is what I think I think this is great. Like, I love Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong. I've seen a YouTube video. I'm not sure if you guys have seen it. It's just this clip that someone put together of like Donkey Kong laughing, but with Seth Rogen's laugh. And it's the most disturbing and funniest thing I've ever seen. And I really want to see that in the actual movie, just him laughing, the Seth Rogen laugh. I know some people who are like diehard Donkey Kong fans who are furious and like they like hate this casting because their love of Donkey Kong has been ruined.
And so this is part of the thing, right? Like these people who they've been casted, all with the exception of Anya Taylor-Joy, they all have pretty distinct personalities. They all have identities established. Like you're not getting Seth Rogen's Donkey Kong because he can play a good voice. It's because it's Seth Rogen. Jack Black is Bowser. Jack Black plays Jack Black.
I can't wait for Jack Black's Bowser. Though. I really
That's
can't
gonna
wait.
Be so. No, I think it's gonna be
for Bowser to talk and be like, like Jack Black. It's gonna be. I can't wait for it. I really can't.
But I mean, none of these characters are known for their orating. Like none of them have speaking roles in almost any of the games.
That's true.
Yeah, like I mean, I want to say they're blank slates, but they're not because they do have their wahoos and everything.
But I think that's part of it is that they do almost have no personalities, and these actors are bringing in big personalities.
Yeah.
And so we're not actually getting Donkey Kong. We're getting Seth Rogen pretending to be Donkey Kong. We're getting Jack Black pretending and of course, the biggest one that's the question is we're getting Chris Pratt as a Italian plumber.
Yeah.
And the rumor is that the original voice actor of Mario, like the famous voice actor of Mario,
Charles Martinet, he's cast in it.
He's cast as a cameo. They haven't announced him. But apparently he's going to be making the jumping noises for Mario.
He's going to be doing the wahoos and everything,
Which is, I'm like, what? It's just going to sound completely different every time he jumps or
it's
something.
The strangest thing, And I don't think Chris Pratt's going to do an Italian accent because that would be...
Because he couldn't do that. It wouldn't be socially acceptable.
It'd just be quite problematic. I don't know. It's weird. But anyway, the whole thing it's just got me thinking about like, just adaptations games, right? Like, what is this movie going to be about? What is the story of Mario that you adapt?
We had a Mario movie already.
We did. And how did that go?
It was terrible. It was a trip, but...
Yes. As a kid, I loved that movie. And for some reason, didn't even realize it was like the Mario games I was playing. It was this weird thing with these like weird dinosaur people.
And they've got similar names to this game I love. Yeah.
Like,
so I just have no idea what they're going to adapt. Obviously, they did it with Sonic, and Sonic was a bit of a hit. So I feel like that's what this is riffing on. These games without a story, they're just like, it sells. So whatever. But then I don't know. I was just like, Mario would be one of those games that I'm like, you can't really adapt, especially after that horrific 80s version. But they're giving it a go again. So I don't know. I was thinking about what games can't be adapted and what games can be adapted. And so I want to know, what video game do you guys think is unfilmable, cannot be put to celluloid or to digital, as it's called now?
Tetris.
Wrong again.
You could. Tetris is timeless.
You ever seen that Futurama episode where it's like Space Invaders?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before I get to just two things, I can't wait for Jack Black's Bowser. Like I really can't. Just like thinking about it, I'm just like, I don't know why. I'm just so excited about that. Mario. But the thing is as well, it is animated. So I think it's not going to tread the same path. Like even as Sonic was live action. Yeah. And obviously you two haven't seen Sonic yet, have you?
No.
See, Jim Carrey nails Eggman in that. Like Jim Carrey is awesome as Eggman. And I wouldn't pick Eggman as this like guy who's a great character. Jim Carrey made it his own. Like he's not like the Eggman from the games. But he's such a kooky and charismatic character in that movie. That's his movie. Like he owns that movie completely, you know. Sonic's great in it as well. And I highly recommend that movie again.
One day I'll get there.
So I don't know. I'm keen for this.
But Jim Carrey's an actor, right? If this is animated, none of these people are voice actors. They're screen actors doing a voice acting job.
Key and Peele were in Toy Story 4.
He's the exception. Keegan-Michael Key is the exception to this. Where
hey, come on, Jack Black's Kung Fu Panda.
I don't care for those films.
He's still Jack Black though.
He's Jack Black.
Is what the point is.
Jack Black's always Jack Black. Yeah, I don't know. It's gonna be like Chris Pratt's definitely a choice. Chris Pratt is definitely a choice for Mario that a lot of people are not a fan of. But further to your question, so which films which games are unfilmable?
What games do you think? Because this would have been ones that I would say is not unfilmable, but I would have been like, why would you make a Mario if there's no story here? They're arcade. Like they're games through and through, but they're doing it. So I'm just curious, what games do you guys think you couldn't really film? Like what's one that you just like you could never make a movie out of that?
Like the Soul series. I feel like
that was one of my picks.
Oh, I'm sorry. Like I feel like, you know, that's all in the gameplay and the exploring of that world.
Yeah.
And the story is more you interacting with that world and finding out these stuff. It doesn't translate to the story you put on a script and follow without changing it completely, sort of thing. So yeah, that would be my main pick as well. But
I was going to say something fairly multiplayer focused. So like PUBG came to mind as a game that they even tried a jam story in there, but it's not the thing that makes that game interesting. It's the player interactions. It's the weird things that happen.
Yeah.
And the gameplay. And so I would say something like that.
No, how many years until we get an animated Fortnite movie?
So I was going to say Epic Games has been floating that idea.
I guarantee it.
But they keep jamming story into that game. Like every season is a story.
Yeah, and there's all these little short movies they put out of like announcing what characters are coming and stuff like that. Yeah. So yeah, it's coming. It's definitely coming. I hope it's really bad.
Oh, it will be, without a doubt.
Ninja will 100% be a voice actor on it. What do you think, Conan?
So Dark Souls was probably my main pick. Like I think that makes the most sense because, like you say, it's all in the gameplay. There isn't even really a story to it, but there is a world, and the world only exists with your exploration. And so to have that, like the game works by being engaged with actively. To have that as like a passive viewership doesn't function.
Yeah.
I mean, the other ones that came to mind, like Grand Theft Auto is a funny one. I think Grand Theft Auto gets talked about a lot as like there should be a movie with this, and it seems on paper like it would work, right? It's like it's criminals doing crime. It's, you know, we love crime films, we love heist films, but again, GTA works entirely in the ability of you to like for a power fantasy, right? You're like, I can go and I can kill this group of people, and then I can just do it for I can escape from the cops in my dumb helicopter. I can die and just come back in the hospital. Yeah. All of it is just it's a playground. It's just having fun there in the game. And the stories are always pretty good, but they're never the main point. The point of those games is just like the fun spectacle. Yeah. And like, you know, in the case of Vice City, driving around a sick 80s beat. So you commit that to film and you either get something like Miami Vice or like Heat or any of those crime films we've seen, but you can't do the fun sort of wild sandbox energy in a film. It would be a very contained story to be like, this is Grand Theft Auto because it's to do with crime. It has none of the other essence of it.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, if you think about other games where gameplay is king, they would never do like a Doom movie or anything like that.
No,
I think they could though.
They did.
They
I'm joking.
But I mean, I could see them doing that again. Is what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
But there's a bazillion and one strategy games you could throw into this that I don't think would ever. Like Factorio, a game I love. Nobody's going to watch a dude build factories on an alien planet.
No, correct.
But then I was thinking about like StarCraft. Like I'd actually probably watch a StarCraft movie about Kerrigan
But we got a Warcraft
and Reiner. Yeah, true.
We watched that together, Conan.
Yeah, we did.
We traveled like 40 minutes too on subways and all that to get to that cinema.
And it really put a dampener on the rest of our night.
Oh, I regretted the whole weekend.
Yep.
It makes me think of other games that where gameplay is like the main thing. I haven't played this. You two have. Would Hades be a good movie?
I think Hades would, because the story is really compelling, and even though it's built in the gameplay a lot, there is a really interesting story there. You could do a lot of cool like montage stuff of just, I don't know. There's a lot of character development in the struggle. I think that could be filmable.
Actually, yeah, it could be like a Groundhog Day style.
Yeah.
Movie. Yeah,
Doctor Strange,
I was going to say it couldn't
and...
be, but you're right. Yeah.
So like that, that could be really fun. The other one I had was Portal. And Portal's so famous and so beloved, and it's just puzzles. You can't make it, even though you've got like GLaDOS, who's fantastic. I just don't know how you make.
It's about figuring out the puzzles, and watching someone figure out the puzzles isn't as fun as figuring out the puzzles yourself.
Precisely, that would just be weird.
Yeah, the compelling thing other than the puzzles is the characters, not necessarily the story.
Yeah,
right? Like it's the world and the characters.
Yeah, and again, it's like what you find out as you slowly explore through. Like, yeah,
because it's funny to me. Like I'm always reminded about how many movies and TV shows that are in development for game series that have just been like Halo's been talked about for ages that it's in development.
20 years.
And another one recently that they actually have casted the main character, which is quite insane to me, is that they're doing I believe it's a TV series, not a movie, of Twisted Metal.
Yeah, I saw that.
And the main character has been casted as Michael B. Jordan in Twisted Metal.
But why? Does he drive around in that ice cream truck? Is that what the go is, or what?
Apparently, but I don't know, man. More Twisted Metal I'm down for, but
it'd be riffing on the Fast and Furious sort of stuff, right?
Yeah,
car spectacle.
But it's weird.
Yeah, it's strange.
Yeah, like I don't know, like the ones I think of, I kind of would like to see a movie of Flow. Oh, what's one game that you would love a movie of that you think would work?
My other question was, what game would make a perfect movie?
Yeah. Last of Us. No, we're getting a good TV series on that.
More of a TV series.
Yeah. I don't know. The ones that strike out to me and I think it's just based off the short film that I watched, like Majora's Mask or like Ocarina of Time and stuff like that. Even though I don't know how well they would do, I just know that animated short film of Majora's Mask.
Do you mean that opening cinematic that was just like redone properly?
Yeah, like made by that animation studio of the what do you call it? Kokori Kid or Kokuri?
Yeah. It came out a few years ago. Right?
Deku Kid. Yeah. Did you know that that's Ember Labs, the team that made Kena, Bridge of Spirits?
I think you told me that.
Yeah. So, I don't know. That's all. That looked so cool, and I love that little short film. That I always wanted a movie of that, but.
Well, Zelda's one of the big ones that's like everyone's always sort of asked, when's the Zelda movie getting made? And I think they had that animated show way back in the day. But
that was really bad.
It's a meme now.
Yeah, it's not good, but it just seems like
and I mean, IGN famously did that April Fool's where they created their own trailer for the Legend of Zelda movie, and they released on April Fool's, and it's like their most viewed video ever because it went insane that day. The amount of people believe in it.
Like that's the white whale of this. Like to have a Zelda movie come out and be good is every gamer's dream.
It's a big risk.
Yeah, and that's why I think it's never happened because it's just. But you almost could do them because those games all have pretty good stories or pretty clear stories. But
you'd have to do Ocarina.
I think so.
You'd have to do Ocarina. But do you give Link a voice? Who do you cast as Link?
But these are the questions that keep
Chris Pratt.
Keegan Michael Key, yeah.
Oh, you actually have Key and Peele. Key as Navi.
Yeah.
Man, I'd watch the crap out of that.
And the Gorons all voiced by Seth Rogen.
And Charlie Day as all the Deku Scrubs. Yep, we've made it.
Yep.
Like my two picks were Red Dead Redemption. Seems kind of obvious.
Oh yeah.
Movies. And like I'm always in the mood for a good Western, and to see that story translated to film would be really good because the gameplay is not what stands out about those games. It's purely the world and just it is the cinema of it.
Red Dead's a good one. Red Dead's good.
And the other one's Half-Life 2, which I think would be really, because again, it's got like a real sort of cinematic flair to it. And it's not like overly there is a lot of exploration that makes that game really great. But I think there's a really cool story that you could translate well. Like the characters are good. The central conflict's really compelling. I'd love a Half-Life 2 film.
I would so be there.
Could we
Brian,
get
yep.
Could we
Even
get
just some stuff in that universe. Do more with Half-Life, please.
Yes. yes, Valve.
Could you have a Dota 2 movie?
There's a Dota 2 anime and it's shit.
No.
Oh, there is. Hey, yeah.
I did not enjoy it personally. I think the lore in Dota is kind of crap, and they don't do much with it. But yeah, no, you couldn't. Have you guys ever played 999?
No.
It's a DS game. It's a point and click adventure game basically, but it's kind of like Squid Game but with 9 people, and it's also it's a really fun, like it's got a really good story, and I think those escape room type movies are so hot right now. So 999 or anything in the Zero Time Dilemma series.
See, that's actually a recent topic that I'm interested in. About a reverse of this is I would love a Squid Game video game. Obviously there's stuff like it, but I mean, I think Fall Guys are apparently putting in red light, green light as a game, which apparently they had, and they scrapped it before release of the game. And now that it's going up in popularity, they're like, let's put it in now.
You have to have a creepy Korean voice saying it though. Absolutely.
Or an English dubbed voice.
You didn't watch that English?
No, I did not. I know people who did, and I was like, no, you have to watch it in Korean. Squid Game's great. We should watch it. Yeah, I don't know. Like, it's weird because like I always forget that the Uncharted movie's coming out as well. Like Uncharted and Last of Us are 2 things that I wouldn't think would need a movie or TV show because they're so cinematic.
What a waste of time.
But
true.
And we're getting the Metal Gear Solid movie. Oscar Isaac is Snake.
Really?
I'm keen for that. That's directed by Jason Vo Roberts, who did Kong Skull Island. He's a die-hard Metal Gear Solid fan.
This is all confirmed?
Yes. Is it just retelling the Metal Gear story, original Metal Gear story?
Metal Gear Solid 1 story, yeah. Yep.
Sorry, not Metal
and Oscar Isaac's keen. He is a fan of the series, and I know that director's been begging to do it for years and years. So
they really should have got Kurt Russell and de-aged him. He was literally the original Snake. So
I know Snake Plissken, but
there's something wrong there.
You know, in Metal Gear Solid 2, they literally he calls himself Pliskin as like a code name. He's like, Pliskin, and it's just it's so obvious. But
you've got to love Kojima.
He wears his movie influences on his sleeve.
He does.
Very much on his sleeve. So it's actually funny. You can find a comparison of like even the original Metal Gear, the ones on the NES and everything like that. There's like Big Boss in that is literally like a cartoon picture of Sean Connery. It's just Sean Connery, and so many of the game covers are just. There's one from Aliens, like it's literally the same pose and guns and everything from the Aliens poster. It's just changed it, but it was the Wild West back then. One question I forgot earlier: just who would you cast in Red Dead movie, or would you do You couldn't do Red Dead 2, or would you do Red Dead 2 first, and then have the John Marston sequel?
No, I don't know, because Red Dead 2 is obviously more relevant now, so maybe.
And I think Red Dead 2's story's better.
I don't know. They're both so great. I think like any prequel, Red Dead 2 benefits from having John's story first.
Yeah.
Like having John as a character is kind of, you witness much more of a tragedy.
Yeah.
And the whole, I think it benefits. So probably the first one, doing that first. I don't know who you'd cast for it, really.
Cast Scott Eastwood.
And Scott Eastwood is an all-American hunk.
just to pretend to be Clint Eastwood.
Scott Eastwood's got the look for sure.
Yeah, he does. I don't know if he has the acting chops. I haven't seen him in anything.
No, he hasn't made anything good yet.
No. Well, this is his chance to claim that mantle that his dad left for him long ago.
To be Mr. Marsden.
To bring back the Wild West movies.
Oh, they never really went away, but you're right. Yeah, I don't know. It's a tough one.
Yeah. Well, that's all for this week. if you liked hearing us talk about video games, you'll love watching us talk about movies. Starting with our next podcast, The Good, the Bad, and the Worst, we will also be on video as well as available on all podcast platforms. This month, we are doing a Halloween special and reviewing the Scream trilogy, which is timely with Scream 5 coming out. Also, this episode was brought to you by the new story, the new book from our very own Mr. Clark, The Taste of Iron, now available in paperback and available on Amazon. You can reach out to us if you want to buy a physical copy instead of supporting the big Jeff Bezos or anything.
The big company that gave me the opportunity. So
exactly, support the artist, So, thanks for watching as always. Like and subscribe. You can find us on social media platforms at Bonus XP Podcast. I'm at Luke the Morgs. Conan, what's your social media tag?
I think it's CV Clark Author. I think I changed it to.
Yes, at CV Clark Author. Yep. I believe that's the case. And Greiner.
Don't try and find me on social media.
He's a mystery man. But thanks for that, and we'll see you next time.
Bye. Peace.